Hello, this is lielurr. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. I plan to do traditional art and digital art stuff down the line. And for this video, we're going to try and wrap up and finish the last couple sketchbooks that I have. So I have this sketchbook that I think I finished right around the end of my college career. And then these sketchbooks are sort of just miscellaneous, where I've used them either to travel with or just to jot down ideas in. So to start, this sketchbook was given to me by a friend. I've mentioned this friend a couple times now. We met in college and we've been best friends ever since. I want to say this was given to me on my birthday because it was a regular sketchbook, I believe, and they went as far as to get this paper and wrap it for me and personalize it for me, so that was really nice of them. So thank you again. I'm gonna link them in the description, but yeah, their work is really great. Check them out definitely after this video and just give them some love and tell them that I still have this sketchbook. Starting off, we have we can see that the sketchbook has a little bit of wear and tear, but I think that's pretty good for having the sketchbook for so long. So here we have this first creature. I want to say this is relative to the African video game idea that I have. So I think this is supposed to be sort of a wraith sort of character, or like a banshee-esque sort of character. To make monsters more uncanny, I usually like to remove features. Like, I don't want to make it completely humanoid. I don't think that's as scary as something that looks kind of human. Like, to get that real uncanny valley feature, I think you really have to sort of start with the basics of a human, but then take away features as you go along. And the less human it looks like in the end, the better. This next page here is an idea that I have been tinkering with for a little while now, at least since 2013. I'm not sure if it's a form of lucid dreaming, but I had this idea where I was sleeping and I saw essentially an anime opening to an idea that I'd never heard of before, never seen these characters before, I'd never thought of these characters before. But I had the initial first opening, like the anime, like the song and everything, playing in my head, or at least in my dream from what I remember. And I had the sequence, and maybe I'll, try to work that out eventually in like an animatic or something. But I had the whole sequence, plus music, plus characters, all drawn out. The style and everything was done already. And I saw the first, I think maybe, 2 minutes, like a preview of the show. And it had these characters in it. And I tried to capture them over the next couple of years as much as I could remember them. And this is what I've started to come up with. And for some reason, the show is based around Gundams or like mechs or giant robots, which I have not interest, but no experience drawing at all. Like, I hate geometric forms so much. So I have no idea why I dreamt of a mech show or like a suit Gundam sort of esque show. No idea. So this was the initial cast of characters here, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. I had these 5 sort of distinctive personalities as the main cast. In terms of the series, I suppose this is sort of like a technician character, like an engineer sort of technician character. And this character was meant to be the captain of the crew. So this was the main cast, and they had their own individual mechs, and then this was their captain. At this point in time, I became obsessed with the Powerpuff Girls. I was interested in making a Powerpuff Girls doujin, which is a sort of fan manga or comic created for an already established property. So initially it started off to be completely fictional, the story, the timeline, everything, but it ended up being sort of semi-autobiographical in the end. So the series centers around Buttercup and her struggles moving into a new town, and sort of reminiscent of an episode of the Powerpuff Girls. If you know, they move to a new town and have to restrain their powers for a bit because people don't know them, because I'm trying to go too deep into Powerpuff Girls lore. But initially when the Powerpuff Girls are created, of course, they have their new powers that they have to get used to, and people are not used to them having superpowers, and it becomes a whole problem, which is basically the story of the Powerpuff Girls movie. But in this doujin, this comic idea, it was going to be about Buttercup and the girls growing up into their sort of awkward sort of teenage years. So Blossom would be the more well-equipped sort of character, Bubbles is the social butterfly character, which is sort of reminiscent of the original series, but Buttercup, on the other hand, is the one that's struggling the most to get used to her new situation. Buttercup takes it very hard that they have to move to a new town because she has a few friends and she's started to finally kind of come into her own in Townsville, but they have to move because of the professor. He wants to either get a new job or start a new life, or just something is happening. I don't remember the initial action that forces them to move, but at this point in the story, I believe most of the villains within the Powerpuff Girls have either been detained or finally are locked up, so they're not really a threat anymore, so they don't really have anything tying them to Townsville except, you know, just living there or growing up there. But the girls are hesitant to go, but Blossom and Bubbles are very supportive of their father. Buttercup is taking it the hardest and she struggles the most, and we follow her throughout the story in her ups and downs and trying to better herself and become more acclimated to her new situation. So because Buttercup was the main focus of the story, she has definitely got the most sketches done around her and her design. And it was just really fun to draw characters from my childhood that I really enjoyed drawing, just drawing my own versions of them. I'd always had ideas of drawing fan art and stuff, but I never really did it because I guess I never really had a purpose for them. So of course I can't draw the girls without drawing the villains. So here we have the main villains of the story. Even in the main series of the show, the actual Powerpuff Girls, Mojo Jojo was definitely the most dangerous villain. He could be absolutely ridiculous at times, of course, but he was definitely the one that had the most destructive power underneath him, of course, because he had, you know, actual supernatural powers. So in this story, it's no different. Mojo would definitely be the ringleader behind all the shenanigans, behind the scenes sort of things going on, and all the villains have their own different perspectives and reasons for joining him and falling underneath him. It's sort of like a recruiting thing, and recruits the villains to try to take over the world instead of just Townsville this time. So here we've got Fuzzy Lumpkins, and we have Princess over there, and then here we have Sedusa. Of course, we can't do the villains of the show without doing the Gangrene Gang. So here we have Ace. We have Big Billy. We have Arturo. We have Snake, a little bit of a snake right here. And Grubber. I really wanted to lean into the whole royalty fanciful outfit for Princess, so this is what I ended up with. And this isn't the final, of course, but this is my first thoughts regarding her outfit. Here we have some ideas for her insignia, for her weapons, and her clothing. Here we have Fuzzy Lumpkins. So pretty simple design. His design didn't change much at all, which I'm fine with. He's, again, like, I think he's pretty much perfect the way that he is. These cuts in her outfit are not at all permanent. They're not really supposed to be anything particular. They're not like tiger stripes or anything, but I think it was fun to play with the negative and positive space, as I do with her hair in the series. I plan to do that in the series, so I thought it'd be fun to reflect that in her outfit as well. And here's some Mojo, because you can't have the villain without Mojo. Mojo was really fun to design. He was actually pretty tricky to design, if I'm being honest, especially in a aged up sort of institutionalized, trying to master plan, you know, end all be all plan phase of Mojo. I wanted him to look reserved. I didn't want him to look super, you know, Joker-esque. You know, I didn't want him to look wild. I wanted him to look a little disheveled, but not, you know, he's been incarcerated for so long, so all he had to do had time to think. So limited emotions. He's not as goofy as he would be in the original series, or he's supposed to be taken much more seriously in this version. And this is Ace. I didn't want them to look too different from the series. They're still living in the junkyard, but they're older. They're not so much wiser necessarily or more stylish. It's kind of just like updated version of the clothes they were wearing and sort of simplified. They're getting into their adult years now, so they're not really pulling pranks and doing nonsensical things anymore. A little bit more grown up. I want to give that vibe for all of the characters. So here we just have some rough sketches of Buttercup. I think here I was trying to develop my style. If I was going to do this traditionally, if I was going to do any sort of traditional work, I was working on traditional visual effects. In this section, I started to do some more work and actually started developing the idea I had for my previous sketchbook, which is about a child named Sho, and it's a children's book revolving around origami. So I started to do more and more designs about it. I started to do some layouts and some paneling and figuring out how I wanted the book to be laid out and how I wanted the story to progress. And I think I got through most of the story actually up until the very end, which I haven't finished. But yeah, I did most of my sketching like that. So it's probably almost impossible to know what I'm trying to do here, but you can see just some layouts of Sho reacting to the origami creatures that he's creating. Okay, back to the fun stuff now. So, of course, if I designed the girls being older, I had to design the rowdy rough boys being older. Of course, we have Brick, Boomer, and Butch. It was a lot of fun to draw in this really super loose style with basically none of it making sense except to me. So again, just more experimenting with powers, physical powers if I was going to draw. I don't know if I was ever going to draw anything traditionally, maybe some cover art or something, but experimenting with visual effects. Okay, and here we have the boys again. I think this is just sketching with different materials. So this looks like almost all colored pencil, red pen and ink with some marker involved as well. I think this is just bare bones pen and ink. Here's some sketching of Bubbles. It's over her different phases in the comic. Bubbles and Boomer. I always thought their relationship was really cute. Even like fan art back on, Days of DeviantArt and that kind of thing, people pairing them up. I thought that was one of the cutest relationships. I guess because their relationship made the most sense, I guess, in terms of like their personality. It seemed the most realistic of the three. And this is just a sketch of Juke for some reason. I don't know what brought this on, but this is Juke from Amazing World of Gumball. And here we have some more sketches of my character Leaf from my story about the anthropomorphic fruits and vegetable characters. Leaf is supposed to be the main antagonist for the story. And here we have some shots of Leaf and the main character. So there's the main character Dole, there's Leaf, and I want to say this kid's name is Kevin, so the sidekick character of the main hero and then the main villain. So these sketches were related to my card series that I wanted to make for my previous video. I wanted to make a personalized deck of cards, and then each suit would have their own family. So each suit would have their own insignia, they'd have their own outfits, they'd have their own special architecture or at least design elements within their suit. And I wanted to make it recognizable. So I didn't want to just have them be the King of Hearts, the King of Diamonds, whatever. So I think for spades, I changed the term to blades. So then, 4 of blades, 5 of blades, or whatever. So this was the insignia that I had to replace blades. So something along those lines. I think one of the closest design was probably something close to this, something like that, or something like this where the blades interact like this. Okay, and here's a comic revolving around Yoak and I believe a past relationship that he had. It didn't end very well. So this character is supposed to be one of 2 characters in the story. The premise started out as just 2 serial killers going around doing sort of mundane things and then sort of killing in the background and not getting caught. It was supposed to be more absurd than anything. And I think eventually became like sort of a two men and a baby situation where they ended up finding a baby and they're very hesitant to do anything. They don't know what to do with it, and they end up taking care of it. And I'm not sure where the story's supposed to go from there, but I thought the premise was weird enough as it was that I started sketching out some of the characters. We have more sketches of Yuki and Tairei, and these are very, very loose. I'd say these are definitely off model in terms of their character designs. Okay, here's a quick sketch page of Yuki, some emotions. And the same thing for Tairei. Okay, so here's another character from the series, the same MIC Monkeys and Codes Tairei Yuki series. This was a young character, I think his name was Yodamari, as it looks like, or the name that I started to consider for him. I believe his story was that he was an orphan and he had a club foot. I think that was his main thing, that he had a club foot and he was sort of seen as deformed and no one wanted to take care of him. So he was abandoned, and he also had sort of a disability, and Yuki and Tairei had to figure out what to do with him. We just have some hairstyles I was trying to develop. I'm looking up traditional sort of, I don't know if it's Edo period specifically, but feudal time Japan era sort of hairstyles that he would probably have. I didn't want everyone to look like generic anime character number 5. And here's a shot of, I want to say, the same child and Tairei interacting. Tairei being, of course, very new to human interaction, at least direct interaction, so she's not used to someone latching onto her, or at least a child latching onto her like that. The first set of sketches for this character are way back in my first sketchbook tour in my black moleskin. I had characters who were based around a voodoo game, and this was a demon girl, sort of teenage girl character. And like I said in my previous video, depending on the region that you find them in, they'd have different tribal markings and different piercings and different accessories on them, different weaponry, depending on the area that you find them in. So here we have all 3 characters in sort of a mob, sort of waiting for the enemy, I guess planning an attack, sort of waiting and hiding. And this monster was from another dream that I had, either a waking dream or a dream, a lucid dream, I don't know what you want to call it. But this is a dream. I had an idea for a sequence for the video game. So the main character, I believe in this sequence, was going through some sort of valley, or maybe he's looking for some sort of object or something, whatever it involved. Sort of like when you have previews for games or game trailers or game teasers, you play the first like 5 minutes, or they play, you know, the most sort of initial exciting part of the game, and they broadcast that for like game expos and stuff. That's what I had in my mind when I saw this. So the main character went into the sort of nest area where these demonic creatures are, and he gets found out almost immediately. The main character has to escape through a lot of quick time commands, and that was how the scene progressed. But I really like these monsters. I'm not sure where this sort of decorative elements are coming from. I know it's African in nature for sure, but I don't remember exactly what tribe I was going off of, but I really like these designs. Here's just some quick sketches of Fiona. I think I was trying to develop her gun. In the series, the video game series that I have it based around her, I wanted her to have a derringer. I wanted that to be her main weapon. Eventually you get more guns and different, you know, shotguns and pistols and whatever along the way, but I think her main weapon was going to be a derringer. So here's just more sketches of the child from the Monkeys and Codes series with Tairei and Yuki, the character who had the club foot. I'm just developing him some more. Okay, so I almost completely forgot about this character. I forget what her name is right now. If I remember, I'll put it up on the screen. So in this story, Yuki has a main love interest who is a courtesan. Her pay rate was so high that only very few people were allowed to even see her. Yuki falls in love with her, and preceding his transformation, he wants to raise enough money to outright sort of buy her and remove her from the brothel altogether. She is one of the main reasons that Yuki wants to become human again. He wants to break the curse as soon as possible and return to his love interest and marry her before it's too late. So here we have more Powerpuff Dojin. I think this comic is supposed to be about Buttercup and Butch reconnecting after so long, and him sort of confessing that he kind of always liked her. Conversely, I think this is a comic about Brick and Blossom meeting up. It's not the same context as Butch and Buttercup meeting up. I think they're just having a tough discussion. And for something a little more lighthearted, here's some sketches of human versions and cartoon versions of Gumball and Darwin from The Amazing World of Gumball. I ended up doing a digital version of these sketches that I liked a lot. Here's a couple sketches of Aku and Jack. I always liked how flamboyant and just extra Aku was in the series. Okay, and here's some more sketches of food characters. I believe this was... this is Leaf. This guy's name is Carl. He's one of Dole's best friends at work. He's a pineapple. This was Kevin. This, I believe, is Spuds, who is Spuds. This is Leaf's best friend, or his right-hand man. And then this is Kevin and his best friends. And here's just some more characters, just experimenting with more fruits and vegetables. So I believe this was... I think this is an olive, like a little olive kid. This looks like a potato of some kind, so put a root vegetable. Here is an onion. This is a lemon, I want to say a lemon. This is like a baby carrot, it looks like. This is like a strawberry, a carrot. I believe this is a kiwi and a chili pepper. Here we have some of my vampire characters. I'm sure I have sketches before. I have digital sketches for sure of these characters before then. So even if it wasn't around 2018, I was definitely doing sketches before 2018 digitally of some of my vampires, and I'll put them up on the screen. And that's that for that sketchbook. Like I said, these are going to go by pretty fast now that I've gone through my main sketchbooks. So we're going to go ahead and power through the very last ones and get this over with. So this sketch pad, it seems pretty generic. I want to say I bought this from a discount store. There's no real anything to it, just a generic sort of sketch pad. So some of these date back to 2018, which is a little bit in between that last sketchbook, but not before the last sketchbook, like when the first sketchbook started. So we're going to continue from here. So here we have just more vampires and more sketching in colored pencil. I think this is when I started getting more into using Prismacolor pencils. Here we have a sketch of a comic, again with more vampires. I want to say, what's going on in this comic? Okay, I think it was two characters coming together. I think there's a female character and a male character. I think the female character is approaching the male character, and the male character has just gotten out of like a bad fight or something, and they're trying to relax. Here we have some sketches that I did for Goretober back in, I want to say, I guess, 2019. I was doing pretty well, I think. I did like maybe 6 or 7, and then stuff happened and I couldn't finish. But these are some of the prompts that I started sketching for. think one of them was teeth, and then another one, I think it's just all for teeth. We have more vampires, and I really liked sketching with this sort of pen. So this was Bird ballpoint pen, of course, but then this was like a thicker, like a uniball pen with really rich dark black ink. I think it looked really well against the contrast of the lighter red ink. So that's pretty much it, except for one sketch back here, which I want to say, I don't know if this is a vampire, but I think I was definitely testing out some markers. I really like the design of this character, it's really cute. I think I made this up on the fly just to test the markers, but I think I'm going to end up keeping this character. So that's another sketchbook done. So we're almost done. We have just these two left right here. So here we are again with my struggle to draw cute things. I don't know if I can draw cute things. They're cute to me. I know the character is cute in my eyes, but I don't know if they come off as cute. But this is a character from another series I had, which is very recent. This is from 2021. This is a character from another series idea that I had revolving around cowboys. And I don't know if it's the Old West or just older West, maybe like 1940s, 50s, 60s, that era of sort of cowboys, ranch hands, that sort of thing. And that was the setting for one of these characters. Oh, this was just some sketching I did with these colored pencils that I found. They're like highlighter sort of colored pencils, and I was just trying to swatch them and see how they react to each other. And they are Faber-Castell Universal Fluorescent Dry Lighters, apparently. I think I just found them in like an old bag of art supplies, maybe from a garage sale or something, but they're really cool. And then finally we have a sketch of Sedusa again from my series, or not my series, but my doujin comic idea of Sedusa. Okay, and that one is done. Okay, home stretch now. I've never heard of this brand before. It was just a generic, cheap set of travel size pocket blank books, and I thought I could always use more of those, and I bought them when they're on sale. I wanted to do some sketches for 3 a.m. because I felt like I was sort of forgetting what I was doing in terms of 3 a.m. And I was also testing out the Bible verse highlighters, these sort of pastel highlighters. So this is just the rollerball pen, and I liked using these markers because they're really fun, they're really vibrant, and using them combined with the rollerball pens was a really nice combination, I think. So this was a female love interest that Travis had when he was going to high school, the version of Travis when he was in high school. And I think I was just trying to see what different sort of effects I could get with the same set of like 10 markers. I might do some time lapse with those because it's really fun to see them come together, because when you're working with them, it's a very much trust the process sort of situation. They look very muddy and kind of gross. Even if you've used markers for a long time, they can look really gross for a very long time until you get to where you want it to be. But eventually it gets into past the ugly stage and looks really nice, and I liked how these all came out. And with that, we are done. I am so happy. So happy that we're done and finished with this series. It's gone on for so long. I hope it wasn't too boring. Thanks so much for sticking by until the very end. I am exhausted. It's so early and I'm already exhausted. But I wanted to get this out of the way as soon as possible and conclude this. Thank you for visiting. I hope you can stay around for when I do actual legitimate new work, not just in these sketchbooks. I don't know if I'll pick up these sketchbooks again and draw in them. I'm going to be doing more traditional work on this channel for sure, getting into painting and maybe some mixed media stuff. Who knows, maybe some collage. I don't know what's on the horizon, but I know I have plans for redrawing a lot of my old characters and comic characters and revisiting old ideas that I sort of abandoned sort of prematurely that I now have time for. I'll also be working on some more digital stuff in terms of comic creation and layouts and, you know, any sort of gripes I have in the art community. I think they'll go a lot faster digitally than they would traditionally. But again, if you have any comments or concerns involving video ideas, future character ideas, character names of characters that I didn't name or anything like that, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to read them and get back to you on them. I'm gonna go ahead and head off. Thank you for visiting again for the last time. I know I've said that probably 6 times already, but thank you so much for coming. I hope you're doing well. I hope you and yours are doing well. And I hope you have a good day or good night wherever you are. And until next time, bye!